Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the whole flock of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Got to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua. The Most High, the Heavenly Father. His Hebrew name is Yahweh. Not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not God, not Elohim, not Most High, not Lord, not Yah, not Jah, not Ahaya, not Allah, not Abba, not Yahuwah, not Hashem, not Yahweh, Haveh, Vaveh. It's Yahweh. And his only begotten son name in the Hebrew is Yahushua. Not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Serapis Christos, not Yeshaya, not Yehoshua, not Yahusha, not Jesus Christos. It's Yahushua. So got to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushua, Bahashem Rekah Quadash. Double honors to the apostles, elder, bishop, and elders of great millstone, who rule well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, whether accepted or not. And a sincere salutation to all the Akim, believing this truth and pushing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world, shedding light to the whole elect. Shalom to the Akwath who are listening learning, you two sisters who are listening learning. I'm Isaiah from GMS Orlando, Camp Prophet of Doom, coming next with another lesson in truth, facts, faith, and edification. Another day of edification, Lord, was be edifying. So I had did a lesson on this about a month ago, and it was titled, this video was titled, Patience Gets Elon Musk's Neuralink Brain Chip at University of Miami. So this is an update because there are two updated videos that I just saw. So I'm going to replay this, and then I'm going to play the other two, Lord willing. This be edifying.
A major milestone marked in Miami. The first microchip backed by Elon Musk was implanted into a patient's brain at a local hospital. It is part of a clinical trial giving people who are paralyzed the ability to control their phones or their computers with just their mind. And I spoke to one of the Miami doctors involved, and he says so far it's a success. First time in 2.5 years.
I think my favorite thing is probably being able to turn on my TV.
Military veteran RJ is regaining a simple freedom.
RJ suffered a spinal cord injury, cervical spinal cord injury, due to a motorcycle accident, which left him quadriplegic, which just simply means that he lacks the use primarily of his arms or his legs.
And he, like a handful of other participants across the country, is taking part in a groundbreaking clinical trial that began in 2024.
I'm Nolan, aka P1.
My name's Alex.
I am Brad Smith.
My name is Mike.
Yeah, I'm RJ. I'm P5.
Each patient paralyzed by either a spinal cord injury or ALS. In each of their brains, an implanted microchip called Neuralink.
It's been an incredible amount of progress.
The Neuralink brain-computer device, founded by Elon Musk, teamed up with the Miami Project to Cure Paralysis and the University of Miami Health System. Dr. Jonathan Jagged and his team executed RJ's implant just months ago.
This device is completely invisible, to anybody else that interacts with somebody who has it implanted. The other thing that makes it very unique is how it's been miniaturized. It's a very small device.
About the size of a coin, but the impact so far, anything but small. During Neuralink's summer update on the trial, they showed this moment. Watch as a participant moves his cursor with his mind.
Whoa!
Congrats!
Oh, well done, man. Well done.
These are people that can't even move a mouse, right? So you have to understand, in its early stages, it's been really successful at allowing them to accomplish goals that they cannot otherwise accomplish. But what it can do in the future is anybody's guess.
Anybody's guess about Neuralink's potential. The uncharted territory raises concerns, but Dr. Jagged says it's expected with any new technology. And after years in the making, RJ is hopeful.
Excited to see what BCI's got going on.
All right, so here in this clip here, this is a new one. Now it's a first woman and another male, but this is the first
and smart
woman.
Devices. Elon Musk's Neuralink just performed 2 brain implant operations in one day. This includes the company's first female patient to receive the brain-computer interface chip. Neuralink's 8th and 9th human users have been revealed as Nick Ray and Audrey Cruz. Both of them underwent surgery at the University of Miami Health Center, where Neuralink's autonomous robot device threaded ultra-fine wires into the outer layer of their brain. The wires are then connected to a Fitbit-like mini-computer that gets placed inside the person's skull, which then connects through Bluetooth to control laptops and smart devices. So, the same way that you would use a wireless mouse with your hand, these Neuralink patients are using their thoughts. The company calls this application telepathy. Patient number 8 is Nick, a man who is suffering from the degenerative effects of ALS, a disease that's left him paralyzed from the neck down. It's an ailment that Nick has come to see as an opportunity to put himself on the cutting edge of brain-computer interface and AI research. Nick became a member of the Miami Project to Cure Paralysis, which led him into the Neuralink Prime study. As a longtime fan of cyberpunk literature like Johnny Mnemonic and Neuromancer, Nick has had a long-time dream of experimenting with BCI and working beyond the limitations of the physical body. Nick wrote in a post on X, "On the very first day using my BCI, I was afforded a glimpse, the slightest whiff of the capabilities I will achieve with practice, and it is so far beyond anything I could have dreamt of as an able-bodied individual." Audrey is patient number 9, a 36-year-old woman from Louisiana. Severe injuries from a car accident at the age of 16 left her a quadriplegic with no feeling in her arms and legs. In her own post on X, Audrey shared that everything was going amazing after the surgery, which involved Neuralink drilling a hole in her skull and implanting 128 electrode threads into her motor cortex. What's interesting is that Audrey's implant was connected with double the number of threads as patient number 1, Nolan Arbaugh, who had 64 wires placed in his brain, most of which later retracted and fell out. Audrey's first real-world application for the Neuralink technology has been making art. She started by writing her name for the first time in 20 years, which was pretty good considering she'd only had a few days of practice at that point, and then has moved on to nature and animal drawings that she posts on her X account. Audrey says that she just imagines using her finger to click and using her wrist to move the cursor like a mouse. The Neuralink implant decodes those signals in her brain to control the computer. Audrey's big plan right now is to use the technology to write a book that tells her story of living as a quadriplegic since the age of 16. One thing she did stress is that the Neuralink implant will not give her the ability to walk or regain the movement in her limbs. Not anytime soon, at least. But that is one of the many things that the company is working towards in the future, which also includes restoring eyesight to the blind. Ever feel like the news just tosses headlines at you and expects you to sift through the noise? Take this recent case. Tesla launched its much-hyped robotaxi service in Austin on June 22nd. But within hours, videos started circulating of one of these self-driving taxis braking erratically, drifting into wrong lanes, or mismanaging intersections, even driving on the wrong side of the street. In today's news landscape, you have to question who is saying what and why. But now, Ground News does that for you. You can see the bias distribution is relatively centered, but if you want to know what both the left and right are saying, you can find out with a few clicks, and thanks to the blind spot feature, you can even catch angles that one side is covering that the other isn't. Plus, it's ad-free. No algorithm pushing drama, just facts. Want to live in a bubble? Go ahead. Want to stay informed smartly? Ground News is the tool. And fun fact, the founder of Ground News is a former NASA engineer, so the platform is built with analytical rigor, presenting source bias, reliability, and ownership context at a glance. Right now, only through our link, you can get unlimited access at 40% off their Vantage plan, or scan the QR code on the screen, empowering yourself with a more balanced news intake while also supporting the Tesla space. Check out the link in the description below. It's ground.news/Tesla space, and let Ground News help you see the full picture. Now let's get back to the rest of the video. Neuralink has recently entered into a new study that is aimed at developing the world's first bionic eye, essentially a visual prosthetic that would allow blind people to live a normal life. The research is being done in partnership with the University of California and a university from Spain. Visual prosthetics are not exactly new. Over a dozen of these implants have been developed over the years. 6 of them are currently involved in active clinical trials, but so far, nothing has proved to be successful for an effective, large-scale solution. The bionic eye itself is only half the battle, though. It's really just a digital camera that gets wired into the subject's brain. It's the brain interface that poses the biggest challenge, and that seems to be where Neuralink is excelling right now. But there's a big difference between moving a cursor on a screen and projecting an image into a person's vision. For the bionic eye to work, Neuralink will need to put 2 implants into the back of the patient's skull, one on each side, and they'll need to use larger electrode threads that can carry more electricity to stimulate the brain tissue. So far, Neuralink has just been reading brain activity like an output device, so now they need to learn how to go the other way and create an input. At first, this will look very basic. A person wearing camera-equipped glasses will be able to see white dots in the center of their visual field that will give them a sense of objects directly ahead. But over time, Neuralink believes that this can evolve into a bionic eyeball and a clarity of vision that is far beyond what any human being would be capable of. A Neuralink user could even see light that is invisible to the human eye, like infrared or ultraviolet. Anyway, that's all cool, but bringing things back down to a more practical level, Tesla is finally about to release their long-awaited, more affordable electric car, and we've got our first look at what this vehicle will offer. Now we've confirmed that this is not exactly a new car. It's not the Model 2 or Model Q or anything like that. Elon Musk himself has said that it's just going to be a Model Y that's been modified to come out of the factory with a lower price tag. A Model Y Mini, as the people of the internet have dubbed it. So what do we have?
So yeah, that's the point on that. And this is the one law that the so-called white man will keep. When you go to Exodus, this is the one law that the so-called white man will keep. When you go to Exodus 21:5, it reads this: "And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free. Then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door or unto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever." Now, the reason I brought this out, to show you that this is the one law that the so-called white man will keep. When you go to Revelation 13, so when you go to this word mark in Revelation 13:16, it reads, "And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in his right hand or in his forehead," right? "And that no man may buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." This mark here is G5480. It reads, "A stamp, an imprinted mark of the mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as the badge of the followers of the Antichrist." Now the scripture tell you that there is not one Antichrist. First John 2:18. Then it's another precept in 1 John chapter 4 that tell you there are many antichrists. So right here, G5482, a scratch or etching, i.e. stamp, as the badge of servitude. Right? As the badge of servitude. Now, let's go to Revelations 13:18. You go to this word here, 603:6, which is G55:16, right? Which is stigma. So when you scroll down here to G47:42, this is the reason why I read Exodus 21:5 and 6. It reads, "This is stigma, a mark pricked in or branded upon the body. To ancient Oriental usage." Why is it important that I read Exodus 21:5 and 6? Because right here it say a mark pricked in or branded upon the body to ancient Oriental usage, which is Exodus 21:5 and 6. Slaves and soldiers bore the name of the stamp of their master or commander, branded or pricked, cut into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belonged to. And there were even some devotees who stamped themselves in this way with a token of their gods. And the so-called white man will be 2/3 gods and heathen gods, those that take it. Stigma, to stick, i.e. prick, a mark, incise, or punch for recognition of ownership. So I got to go back here. For recognition of ownership. Exodus 21:5. If the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free. Then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door or unto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. So it's showing you right here that this is the one law that the so-called white man will keep. When you go to Leviticus 19 and 28, it reads this: Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am Yahweh. This word mark here, H7085, incision, imprintment, tattoo mark, and incision or gash mark. See? Incision or gash. When you go back to, and it's a few precepts. This is Isaiah 36:6. And it reads, Lo, thou trusted in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt, whereon if a man lean, if you trust in it for support, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all that trust in him. This word pierce, repetition is the father's skill. To pierce, perforate, bore, appoint. To pierce, bore, to prick, of, designate. To be pricked, be designated, be specified. See? Also to curse, blaspheme, because that's what you're doing if you take it. You'll be basically a blaspheming the Lord. Bore, name, right? It said the number of his name, right? The number, the name, and the number, which is the so-called white man, the Edomites, the elites. Pierce, appoint, hose, pierce through, strike through. Strong definition: appoint, bore, hose, name, pierce, strike through. See? Then you got the one in 1 Timothy, all talking about being pierced. 1 Timothy 6:10, because it tell you in the 2nd Ezra 14, right? Let go from the mortal thoughts, cast away the burdens of man. And what's the most burden to humans? It's money. It's get the bag, chase the bag, get rich or die trying. Whatever you got to do, you got to get the bag. You got a family. It's all about money. 1 Timothy 6:10, for the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, you chasing the bag by any means, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. Here's another precept about being pierced. This is G 4044, to pierce through, right? Strong definition: to penetrate entirely. See? To penetrate, to pierce through. Let's see what this is. Right here. It's a apparently accusative case of an obsolete derivative, to pierce through, to pierce through. Let's see what the other one say. Let's go back to this. Because there was two definitions. See what the other one is. G4012. Okay, not important. Now, and when you go to Revelation 13 and 15, it reads this. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, which is the image of the system. That's why I tell you in Psalm 73 and 20, The Lord is going to despise the so-called white man's image, which is his system. And it had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as will not worship the image of the beast should be killed. When you go to this word killed here, it's two definitions for the word killed. You got G615, and then you got G2443. Let me show it to you. This G2443 here, you got to click on G3588, right? It says, sometimes to be supplied, at others omitted. Omitted meaning you're going to be oust. See it right here? Only signified renderings. It's a only significant, Salaki, only significant renderings other than either you take this, it's a only significant renderings other than these are counted, right? So either you take this or you ain't going to be counted. This here say omitted. Let's look at omitted. I'm sorry. When you go to omitted and look up, this what omit mean. Leave out or exclude someone or something. Leave out, forget. Now this is the one definition for the word kill. Let's go to the other definition. The other definition is you can literally be put to death. And that's why I tell you that in Revelation 21, that John said he saw those that were beheaded, right? So when you click on the G2443 and go to G3588, it shows you the word here, omitted, right? That's for the one definition, for killed. When you go to this definition here, which is G615, to kill in any way, whatever, to destroy, to allow to perish. See, to inflict mortal death. See, to destroy, put to death, kill, slay. So either way, you could be oust. You could be omitted, mean to be left out. Mean you won't be counted. And that's why I tell you when you go to 2 Corinthians 4 in verse 8, it reads, we are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, yet not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed. This word perplexed, because if you don't take the micro C hip, the so-called white man saying, this is what's going to happen to you if you don't take it. So this is the word perplex. To be without resources, to be in straits, to be left wanting, to be embarrassed, to be in doubt, not to know which way to turn, to be at a loss with oneself, be in doubt, not to know how to decide or what to do, to be perplexed, right? Strong definition. To have no way out, be at a loss mentally, stand in doubt, be perplexed. So this is what the so-called white man is saying. If you don't take the RFID micro C hip, you won't know what to do. You won't have no way out. You will be without resources. But the Lord said, if you do take this, you're gonna be destroyed either way. Either way, you're gonna be destroyed. This is Revelation chapter 3 and 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world. This is when the micro C hip, the RFID micro C hip, will be made mandatory. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. Let me play this last one. Here's another one here. Right here. Listen to this.
But the standout of the list, in a new update, Elon Musk's brain implant company Neuralink has revealed the future of human vision. They call it blind sight, and while the idea might resemble something from the fictional world of Star Trek, Neuralink is working hard to bring this technology into real life, and it's happening right now. The company's latest update was broadcast from inside their surgical robot workshop. These are machines that have spent the past year implanting computer chips into real human brains. Neuralink now has 7 human patients living with the implant, 4 with spinal cord injuries, 3 with ALS. All of them are using the Link device independently from home. Some are logging more than 100 hours a week, with an average usage of about 50 hours. These aren't test sessions, they are real-world hours, and they are scaling fast. And for the first time, we have a roadmap for what Neuralink plans to accomplish with these human trials. By the end of this year, Neuralink implants will move from the motor control region of the brain to implants that target the speech cortex. This would hopefully allow Neuralink to decode words directly from thoughts in real time. That means instead of using Neuralink to control a keyboard to type things out, they simply go straight from brain to text or AI-assisted computer voice. This will be interesting to see how it plays out, because it's one of the few things that Neuralink can't test with a monkey. They don't have language, so it's going straight to human trials. This is also where the capabilities of Neuralink start to draw some legitimate concern, because at this point, on some level, the computer can essentially read your thoughts. Pretty freaky. But that's just the warm-up. In 2026, the first blindsight patient receives visual input directly to the brain using 3,000 electrodes and no working eyes required. This is something that Neuralink has already been testing on monkeys for years, and they feel very confident that it's ready for the first human subject. Then in 2027, Neuralink takes it up a notch by adding support for multiple implants in one person, including speech, vision, and motor implants, all working together and pushing the brain-computer connection to 10,000 channels. And then, just 1 year later, in 2028, they are aiming to connect over 25,000 electrodes, allowing for full brain access and making the first step toward direct AI integration with the human body and mind. So that's a lot of crazy stuff to accomplish in just 3 years, and some of this is pretty wild, but the standout of the list has to be blindsight. Not only because we're talking about literally curing blindness or straight up providing vision to people who don't have eyes, this is all set to begin just a few months from now. So here's what that looks like. Blindsight requires 2 new pieces of hardware. The first is a pair of camera-equipped glasses, essentially the same thing that we've already seen in those Meta Ray-Bans. So users won't actually look like Commander Geordi LaForge from Star Trek, which is probably better for them. The whole point of this is to help people with disabilities live a normal life, not look like a space alien. Those camera glasses connect wirelessly with a smartphone, which is going to translate the digital image into input signals, which then get sent via Bluetooth into the Neuralink implant. This is a new chip. Neuralink calls it S2, designed for stimulation of the brain. Every other Neuralink that has been implanted in a human has been an output device. It reads the electrical signals from the brain and sends that information to a computer. The S2 will take computer information and convert it into electrical signals that get delivered into the brain tissue, essentially thousands of microelectric shocks that stimulate the neurons into action. To accomplish this, S2 is bigger and more powerful than the standard N1 implant. It also uses new electrode wires. The threads are sewn into the brain by the robot. For stimulation, the threads are much wider, still microscopic, but in comparison to the standard threads, they are chunky. And that includes much larger electrodes as well. The extra size means lower impedance, which allows for a safer and more effective delivery of electric charge into the brain. The specific region of the brain here is the visual cortex. It's around in the back of your head, and it has some pretty complex geography. Most brain-computer interface, including Neuralink, is designed to just penetrate the outer layer of the brain, reaching about 2 or 3 millimeters into the tissue. And you can reach the visual cortex from that surface level, but it only gives you access to the very center of a person's field of view. So you can stimulate vision, but only inside the little circle right in the middle, which is not very effective. The regions of the visual cortex that are responsible for wider fields of view are buried progressively deeper into the brain tissue that's folded up into a valley of gray matter known as the calcarine fissure. So in order to reach those neurons and expand the field of view, Neuralink threads need to penetrate up to 40 millimeters deep into the brain. That's 1.5 inches. And this demonstrates something that only Neuralink can do. There are many other brain-computer interface devices that plant electrodes in the cerebral cortex, but all of them are limited in where they can actually place those electrodes. A traditional Utah array uses a bed of tiny, rigid spikes that's obviously not going down into a fissure. A BCI like the Synchron, which is widely used now, can only enter the brain through a major blood vessel, which also limits where it can actually go. Neuralink's surgical robot and custom-made electrode threads can reach any part of the brain at any depth, and to help them see even deeper into the brain than ever before, Neuralink has even developed their own MRI and CT scan imaging machine. Now, here's what this all looks like. Neuralink begins by calibrating the blindside hardware. What they do is flash dots of light into the subject's visual field. Just 3 simple points of light to begin with, and the subject uses their hand to point out where they saw the light. That helps to identify which electrodes are positioned on what region of the visual cortex. And this is what the patient would be able to see with a fully calibrated and functional blindside device. It's essentially just white dots on a black field with a dense group of small dots in the center of the visual field for higher levels of detail, and larger distributed dots around the outside for peripheral vision. It's not much, but it's a pretty great start. Elon Musk says that in time, this technology will allow people to have superhero levels of vision, seeing the world in ultraviolet light or infrared, far beyond the comprehension of any normal human being. This is all building on the success of Neuralink's first product, telepathy. It reads signals from the motor cortex, the part of the brain that control voluntary movement, and it translates them into digital commands. With telepathy, participants can move a cursor, click, type, swipe, and even game using only their thoughts. A third use case for BCI that the company is exploring focuses on regulating human emotional and cognitive states. It would target people's mood, chronic pain, memory, and other internal conditions. These applications would rely on deeper, more sensitive implants in the areas of the brain most involved in emotion and autonomic regulation, known as the limbic and sulcal regions. Musk hinted that these interfaces may one day act as a stabilizing force for psychological health, using real-time feedback to smooth out emotional distress, the same way a pacemaker maintains heart rhythm for patients with heart disease. The strategy at its core is about 2 things: accessing more neurons and reaching more brain regions. That's the direction Neuralink plans to scale. By increasing the density of electrodes and the areas of the brain they can target, the company hopes to build what it calls a whole brain interface, a system that can read from or write to any part of the brain. That's the long game. Neuralink says it's no longer building for dozens of implants, but for thousands and then millions. The goal is nothing less than industrialization, and they are applying something called Moore's Law, which states that computing power doubles roughly every 2 years to the brain itself. Still, the real test isn't the roadmap, it's the users. Nolan, the first participant, now uses the device daily to study languages and math, type notes, and work full days without assistance. Brad, who lost his ability to speak and move due to ALS, can now leave the house and communicate outdoors. This is something he hadn't done in 6 years. Alex, who once couldn't write, now signs his name using a robotic arm driven by his brain signals. All 3 joined in a live multiplayer session of Mario Kart. This is the first known example of 5 people playing a video game together using only their brain to control their character.
See this? This is Esau Edom, the so-called white man, using his miraculous technology as miracles, as it tells you in Revelation 13. The things that the so-called white man has done, from them creating the atom bomb to splitting the atom, now they have intercontinental ballistic missiles. This is the all, the ooh and the all that people look at, which is all prophecy. Revelation 13. In verse 13 it reads, "And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men." Right? Go back to Fat Man and Little Boy, the atom bombs. They dropped bombs on Bosnia, Yugoslavia. Right? NATO was created to dismantle the Soviet Union. They dropped bombs on Tulsa, Oklahoma. Right? This is him. He doeth great wonders, so that he make a fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men. Right? Dropping these bombs from planes. The B-29. And he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles. Remember in Revelations 20, it tell you, when the so-called white man came out the caves, Revelation 27, and when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. The so-called white man come out of the mountains, the caves of Europe, and shall go out to deceive the nations. And see, he deceived the nations with his Renaissance art, his iconoclasm, right? Their rebirth. That's what Renaissance mean, their rebirth. Back into the earth, right? What they say in Malachi 1, we are impoverished, but we will return and build a desolate places. And they did. And they deceived the nations. So right here in Revelation 13, it reads, verse 4, and they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? So when everybody saw what America did with Fat Man and Little Boy, this was the ooh and all. So now he deceiving the people. How? Verse 14, and deceived them that dwell on earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on earth that they should make an image to the beast, which is the system, which is the revived Roman Empire, which had the wound by the sword and did live. Which showing you right here, it's talking about the Roman Empire, well, the Western Roman Empire that went down by Israelites. So these devils' advancement through their technology, man. This is him when he said, let me go to this. Isaiah verse 14. And see, it's all conditioning through gradualism. Isaiah 14 and 13. For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will, and he controlled the earth. The so-called white man, this is his rulership. Job 9 and 24, the earth was given to the hand of the wicked. He controls everything. He controls the traffic in the air. I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. The stars of God are the 12 tribes of Israel. Stated in Revelation 12, on the woman's head was 12 stars. And that woman talking about Israel. And the 12 stars is the 12 tribes of Israel. And I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north, because the so-called white man controls religion. The congregation, he controls the people. In America, it's called a great melting pot. In the sides of the north, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. And he has done this through his technology, with his technology. His planes, his jets, his rockets, also the space station, but with his technology. Oh, also his pride. His pride has descended above the heights of the cloud. I will ascend above the heights of the cloud. I will be like the Most High. And this is the so-called white man being like the Most High on earth, playing God through conditioning and gradualism, healing those that got dementia, Alzheimer's, right? Paraplegics, quadriplegics. This is them by the means of their miracles, man, which is deceiving the people. But it's all conditioned through gradualism. This is why they are pushing all these digital these app-based payments. All these app-based payments. PayPal. What's this other one? It's a lot of them, man. But I can't think of these different app-based payments. Venmo. PayPal. What's the other one? You got Cash App, right? Apple Pay. I forget